Yo, what is going on, my DuckTales fanatics? And it's your boy, TheNextBigThing, back again with another analysis video. After months of waiting, I'm sure that all of you are more than ready for me to do the breakdown. But I just gotta say, after years my channel being up, I finally had the guts to upgrade the channel art and logo. Even though I'm sadly certain that I won't be achieving my 200,000 subscribers by the end of this year, I'm settling for at least 170,000. That'll make me happy enough. But enough about me. Today, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Roll that intro. Yeah, baby. Welp, now that we've, or should I say, now that I finally, after all this time, have made it to the Season 2 finale, I must say, Disney did a terrific job with this finale. The animation was flawless, the characters and tons of references were there, and action was a bit better than I expected. I just really didn't like how they consistently kept using black flashes every now and then to, I guess, censor certain punches. I mean, since I was a kid, I would think to myself, what exactly is the point of the flashes? The implication of the fact that the character got hit is still there. But anyways, though I for one didn't necessarily convince myself that Lunaris was an intimidating villain, the writers did pretty well with the delivery, and according to the reviews, I'm not alone here. The episode literally starts off with Scrooge for a moment enjoying his morning, but once he turns around, the invasion has already begun. Plus, Lunaris had planned the attack so well that he had already eliminated 3 of Scrooge's foolproof projects.
Gyro! It's time. Unleash the unstoppable!
The Moonlanders, already found that and stopped it.
Activate the Doomsday Ray.
That was like the first thing they took out.
I swore I'd never have to initiate our worst weapon.
And you never will because they destroyed that too. This was a very well-planned invasion.
Which was something that was hinted to us within the Whatever Happened to Donald Duck episode, revealing that Lunaris had already been planning for this invasion for years, but however could never truly invade Earth without some sort of successful way of transportation. That was until, of course, lo and behold, Della Duck appears with her very own Spear of Selene. Another thing shown within the same episode was a list of other characters that we're familiar with. The first being Gizmo Duck, who nearly had gotten blasted by one of the moon invaders. I'm not too sure if they planned ahead on how to get rid of him or if him being first of their victims was a coincidence. Another one shown on his panel was, I believe, Magica Dispel. I'm not really too sure from this perspective. Someone who sadly never had an appearance within this finale. However, certain villains like Glomgold managed to have some screen time. And there was Mark Beeks, but honestly, who cares? The dude literally keeps taking a selfie before potentially dying. Now, as for the rest, I guess the writers wanted to present the villains within an entire episode dedicated to them, which was smart, because now the entirety of the finale is purposely focused on the bigger threat, Lunaris. So brushing the other villains to the sidelines wasn't much of a bummer, and using Flintheart as somewhat of a hero this time worked well. But I won't get into all of that just yet. Right now is the time to talk about the alternative plan staged by Scrooge himself. The gang end up using Gyro's little bulbs as a way to communicate, since Louis supposedly was responsible for disarming the original communication lines while still in power. So unleashing the gigantic Bombi wasn't all that he did, I guess. I mainly mentioned the little bulbs to point out the fact that the original little bulb practically had to screw himself thanks to Huey. Both physically and literally. And let me just repeat that. Huey, the genius of the triplets, kept repeating their meetup whereabouts and was nearly heard by one of the troops. Something that was so stupid that the other little bulbs had common sense enough to shut him up. And we clearly can hear glass shatter in the background, so yeah, little bulb's gonna need a bulb replacement. But I guess since his original bulb was already cracked anyways, maybe in Season 3 Gyro will give him an upgrade of some sort. Continuing on, we're transitioned over to Della and the rest, and Della, being the mother she is, tricks her kids into actually going into hiding. Since Lunaris even reveals in his transmission that he would be going after her family, much like what he had explained to Donald at the time before he nearly got obliterated by him. However, Della's tactics eventually gets recognized after some time of avoiding crossfires and asking for shelter instead of combat assistance from her allies. A perfect example of this is when she pleads and begs to the literal mortal gods of the earth. But apparently it didn't matter because Zeus refuses to help since he's a stuck-up jack. And so Della and the kids go off to escape some more before becoming stranded in the middle of an island. An island that's no other than the same one Donald crashed into months ago. Let me repeat that. months ago. But luck is on his side because the day he finally gets founded by his family is the same day he has to help in a planetary invasion. And as he's revealed to still be alive, it turns out that he's been carrying around a Mickey Mouse shaped watermelon to cope with his crippling loneliness over the months. A subtle Easter egg was one of the phrases that Mickey would usually say after ending an episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
See you real soon! See you real soon!
I see what you did there, Disney. The gang are still stuck on the island, which nearly breaks Della mentally after her traumatic experience being stranded all those years on the moon.
What? You must be delirious from hunger. Here, have some delicious oxy. Chew. Oh, no. No. This is the moon all over again.
Plus, in addition to that, it immediately makes Della realize how inevitable leaving the island was, noticing that there was little to any food to survive, even though I personally would have made a campfire and had crabs that day. But that's not the point. Eventually, they're founded by Cousin Fethry, who I was hoping would have a return.
Hello? Oh, you're not going anywhere. That monster's gonna eat us!
And Uncle Gladstone. And so our heroes venture their way back through the help of Betsy the Giant Krill to Duckburg. Heroically. And yeah, I just love the symbolism behind this shot. Cousin Fethry being mirrored by none other than Huey, which would make sense due to their intellect and underestimated methods in communicating with the unknown. Then there's Webby, identical to Della Duck for obvious reasons. Not only does Webby look incredibly alike to how Della was when she was a child, but her phenomenal skills in self-defense, treasure finding, and determination towards her goals are almost parallel in a way. Moving right along to Louie and Gladstone, their connection is a bit more basic, I believe. They're just the type of characters that are more laid back and allowed life to just sort of fall in place. Plus, you know, they both love being wealthy and the color green. Though there's a bit of trouble with this, since Louie even tells Gladstone in one episode that luck's overrated. And to be honest, nowadays Louie is improving with his logic thinking and brainstorming situations. Unlike Gladstone, on the other hand, who always has his way by simply... how can I put this in words? Basically breathing. Just existing. And however, last but actually could be the least important of them all is the comparison between Donald Duck and Dewey. There's honestly not much relation I can come up with between the two other than the fact that they both made somewhat of a connection within the last Christmas episode special, with Dewey making his way back to the past only to run into Donald in his younger years and understanding his pain in a way. Which is why I really don't understand as to why Dewey would be embarrassed to be the Uncle Donald of the family anyways.
Oh man, am I the Uncle Donald?
The man just got done being imprisoned by literal moon aliens, surviving on an island with nothing but himself, sand, and the ocean for nutrition, and even after all of those hardcore and intense experiences, he survives. If anything, Dewey should be the one who's embarrassed to be himself. But on a serious note, this finale's doing a great job with these endless amount of character returns and references. Flipping back over to Scrooge and his plan, he travels with Launchpad and Darkwing Duck in order to ambush Lunaris located at his own mansion while the rest fight against Lunaris' forces. We get an appearance with Lena, Violet, Gizmo Duck, the Harpies from episode 5 of season 2, and even Gizmo Duck's mother, who also had instantly discovered that Fenton was Gizmo Duck. Buddy, just give up. Everyone knows your identity. But let's get back to talking about Lena, because she's practically the Raven of the show now. Ever since she was revealed to possess Magica's powers, I wondered when we would be able to witness her combat skills. And man, it didn't disappoint. Within the finale, seeing her use her powers as she annihilates everyone in her path was pretty entertaining. In the meantime, Scrooge distracts Lunaris' guards outside by switching costumes with Darkwing, since in this reality he's essentially a nobody and therefore no one fears him. He did do a great job getting back into action though.
Anything dangerous in there? Nah, just some purple weirdo.
All around me are familiar faces.
As for Scrooge, he makes it to Lunaris' aircraft, or well, a hologram of his aircraft, which was mightily clever of Lunaris, by the way. He even took this as an opportunity to gloat and land his planet-revolving rocket ship in order for the Earth to rotate around the moon instead of vice versa. And, you know what? I gotta hand it to him. This wasn't a cliche plan. I mean, I've never heard of a villain wanting to revolve the entire planet so that theirs is technically the superior one. Oh, and if you're wondering as to why the planet seems to be freezing in temperatures where Scrooge is but not where Della is, it's because that they're still near Greece at this point. But anyway, since Scrooge's plans in the end aren't working too well, there was already certain people having doubts.
Four, I've decided you're doomed. My time would be better served preparing your places in the afterlife. Cheerio.
Not reassuring that he went down instead of up.
I would like to see you settled before I ascend to heaven and live with the angels.
And with Grandpa.
No, he is not there.
But that's not all while I brought this up. This is a man who you may have heard of. Guess who gets to step in and have a chance at staging his own scheme?
You don't need a plan. You need a scheme. A cockamamie one.
Oh. Now this finale somehow got even more fun. After endless episodes of Glomgold's horrific attempts at succeeding with his laughable, childlike, mind-numbing... Okay, you get the point. They're terrible, alright? They are horrible plans. But this time, it freaking works!
Ho, ho, ho. Merry invasion.
You guys think you have cement stuck in between your ears? No, this guy gets it right for the very first time and manages to trick the almighty Lunaris. It took someone of the exact polar opposite to finally hoodwink this mastermind of a guy with one of the most ludicrous, outlandish strategies of all time. And now the humorous part of this all is that if you go back to season 1, in the end, Flintheart does end up using those sharks after all. What a coinky dink.
Get the sharks ready.
And you'd think after being outclassed by a man-child, Lunaris would simply give in, but instead he plans on exterminating the entire world, but thankfully Della and the rest come right on time. With Della and Donald arguing as you would expect, while the rest aim at Lunaris' ship turrets. Unfortunately though, when all seems to be finished, Lunaris activates rear defenses, leaving the gang with nowhere else to travel but into the flames of the ship, not leaving them with a single angle to make their way out. Something that neither Louie nor Della could figure out themselves. That is until, lo and behold, Penumbra Ex Machina.
Penumbra?
Hello, General.
Now we all should have seen this coming, but there was something just nagging at me. Within the Whatever Happened to Donald Duck episode, Lunaris clearly knew that Penumbra could not be trusted after some time, so my question is, as intelligent as Lunaris surprisingly is, how in the world was she not imprisoned? Now if you ask me, that was the only element within the finale I found a bit meh. I guess it's one of those things that we the fans can theorize about ourselves. My theory is that perhaps while the invasion was happening, she was abandoned on the moon and not given a ship unlike the others. But she still somehow must have refurbished the one crashed after Donald had mistakenly launched himself back there. Cause as you can see from this still frame, there's a signature money sign insignia alongside with gold parts looking to be just plastered on there from a previous crash. Also known as potentially Della's old Spear of Selene. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it, theory confirmed, because, I mean, what else could the answer be? At least we know that one thing truly did come good out of Donald landing on the moon. Anyways, Penumbra gets help from the gang and is traveled back with them on Earth after kamikazing into Lunaris' ship. Something that, by the way, ironically ends up being Earth's new moon, so the exact opposite happened to Lunaris in the end. Plus, we got Selene, Zeus, and Storkules finally helping out by pushing the Earth back into orbit. I guess I take it back, Zeus isn't a complete. And so the day is saved. All thanks to Penumbra and Glomgold's, interesting tactics. Oh, and in speaking of interesting, this exists.
So, cool crash. I don't suppose you'd like to grab a coffee or something?
I could destroy you easily.
So yes?
I wonder how that relationship is gonna work out, because Lunchpat will probably just keep nonchalantly ignoring every death threat from Penumbra, much like how Della was on the moon, and his attitude will probably rub off on her for all we know. And so the finale ends with a bizarre reveal, showing that the three vultures working for Scrooge apparently are the ones ahead of F.O.W.L, the same villain corporation responsible for fiends like Black Heron. Or should we be calling her Red Heron, because instead of worrying about whether or not she was alive, we should have been more concerned with who were the people ahead of F.O.W.L. Should have known after they were the ones revealed to stopping Scrooge from funding more plans to search for Della that these vultures weren't exactly helping Scrooge from becoming bankrupt, but mainly wanted to be sure that they remained in power. By the way, in case anyone's not aware, F.O.W.L stands for Fiendish Organization for World Larceny. They even say to the group within their meeting that who would they commit larceny against if it were were for the fact that the world had gotten destroyed. And yeah, it's kinda dumb, but it's revealed that they kinda blamed the Duck family for Earth being nearly destroyed, even though they were the ones who saved it in the end, but hey, what you gonna do? The villains shown in the organization include Gandra D, Fenton's date from before, the still alive villain Black Heron, Rocker Duck, encased in some sort of ice, I believe. It's funny how the show was making fun of the fact that Scrooge is able to survive through icy situations, much like how Rocker Duck is doing right now.
Frozen in an iceberg. Preposterous!
It happened to you twice.
Plus, it's revealed that Jeeves is the one holding him, so I guess Scrooge never truly converted him to the good side completely in the end. There's also some rooster by the name of Steelbeak, who apparently was one of the classic main villains of Darkwing Duck. But then there's Phantom Blot, disguised as one of the mascots from Magica De Spell's workplace. He's a character originated from a Walt Disney comic from back in the day, which pretty much explains everything. You mean the manager there didn't do a single background check on Magica De Spell and just hired her all of a sudden? Yeah, no. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that I'm more than tardy with this vid, so let me just say it now. Even though the day has already passed by now, I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. There is more to come to this channel, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!
But good news! Congratulations, you're the Earth's newest moon!